Thank you, the Master of Ceremony. I would like to start my presentation by a quotation that really caught my eye while I was going through the novel The Morning by Joginrdra Singh Kanwal. And I quote, "The rail is not my enemy, nor the ship, or it is the money which is the real money. It takes my beloved from place to place," unquote. Good morning, dear friends and invited guests. The outline of my presentation is as follows. I will discuss on aim, research question, introduction, and first part of the research question. And my friend Ashika Pratap will further discuss on research question, conclusion, and references. The theme of our presentation is on health migration and labor exploitation. The main part of the presentation is based on the question, what are the connections between mental well-being and the displacement and relocation of people through labor migration? The aim of our presentation is to explore the connections between mental well-being and the displacement and relocation of people through labor migration. To begin with, Indian indentured began after the abolishment of the slave trade to meet the demands of labor shortage on the colonial plantation. Indentured laborers were contracted workers relocated to work in British colony plantation. They were relocated from India to countries like Mauritius, Trinidad, Fiji, and many more. So upon reaching their destination, they found out that work conditions are not as promised and were exploited by colonial rulers. The system lasted for 37 years for Fiji, and which began on 4th March 1879 and ended in 1920. So this year, Fiji is going to celebrate 51st independence on Sunday, 10th October. The British government ruled Fiji for 96 years. So the indentured laborers were brought from India to work on plantation in country like Fiji. The main factor is here is the people's greed for money that compels them to do things that may not be in accordance to human rights. Moving on, the laborers started to resist the disposition that was imposed by the British rulers. The conditions at the work were harsh, with low working hours and with low wages. Daily threatening of laborers, both verbally and physically, were done by British rulers or overseers during their time of work in the field, and I quote, "We were whipped for small mistakes, and if you woke up late, therefore later than 3 a.m., you got whipped. No matter what happened, whether there was rain or thunder, you had to work. We were have to work, and we had to do, otherwise we were abused and beaten up," unquote. So there was no respect, no glory. The life was full of disgrace. Even the soil has value, but the life has no value. The migrant laborers have a lot of mental stress, pressure to adapt into destination areas. Physically demanding laborers added with fatigue, social conflict, work discrimination, poor work conditions, pay and saving goals put stress on mental well-being of laborers. It pains to hear all this, but we will need to know our history and we will need to face it as well. Only then we will be able to respect and appreciate our present. We did not inherit any property. Whatever we had made, we have made through our own handwork. We did not exploit anyone to build our life. We, we ourselves arranged for our education and have protected ourselves. We are the children of those ancestors who did not lose hope. Now I request my partner to take us to the rest of the presentation. Thank you.
To add on, displacement or relocation occurs when a great agent receives less wages than its marginal project. However, indentured laborers were more like trafficking, and this was a system of bonded labor that was instituted following the abolition of slavery. The indentured laborers, known as coolies, were recruited from India, China, and from the Pacific, signed a contract in their own countries to work abroad for a period of 5 years. Thus, labor migration happens due to social, linguistic, cultural, or organizational barriers. However, discrimination is a potential determinant of problems such as psychological distress, anxiety, and depressive system, which also affected indentured laborers and placed them in situations which had an impact their physical and mental well-being. The conditions in which they were living increased the weakness of ill health. The laborers were exploited, convinced, and influenced to have a better life without knowing the reality. Once they landed, it was a hard labor and nothing here. The migration, displacement, and relocation happened due to exploitation of human life. Due to migration and displacement, the laborers were never able to see their loved ones and family units was broken down. Thus, we are also product of indentured laborers and we have lost touch of what was ours once there. We are being displaced the right to be in that country. If we go through such torturous exploitation through migration, then we will lose our mental well-being. Just imagine the laborers who came, they were shocked to see the condition over here. And how would they have expected hard labor and whipped by these white people and forced to work on the farms, where others were neglecting their own children, and in their process, they were raped, encountered sexual exploitation. And how all these have affected them, it's far beyond comprehension. To survive this torturous exploitation, the laborers were very tolerant. Otherwise, they would have lost their minds and survived the challenges. These laborers had very strong mind, went through such torture and brought up their families and brought up a country like Fiji. They were the founders of the economy of Fiji. They laid the foundation for Fiji to be recognized globally. The indentured laborers went through all tortures, hardship, and they did it for their loved ones. So, our love for family can overcome anything, even it is indentured labor system, and that's called true survival. In conclusion, it can be said that migrant laborers experienced more mental stress and pressure on mental health when they were displaced and relocated through labor migration. It justifies the end, and despite our indentured laborers had tough time coping up with the working conditions which was imposed by British people, and at the end they gained a lot both in terms of experience and wealth. Hence, I would like to dedicate my piece of presentation to all the indentured laborers who spilled both sweat and blood for the betterment of their future generations. These are our references that helped us in doing our research. Thank you.